Hi, fortunately, I'm sorry to say I've lost some jewellery on this chain here. I hope I'll find it soon, but that's not the point of this video at all. Rather, it's about something quite a bit larger, or at least the box for it. It is about the Dynascan UV 202, definitely a professional radio. So let's have a look at what it is and what it can do. So just for a bit of context, this is my Uniden UBC75 XLT radio scanner. Fairly small, nice little device. The problem, it can only receive. So for my first transceiver device, I can transmit as well as receive, because I've been a amateur radio license holder with a call sign Papa Delta 5 Charlie Victor Delta for quite a while. I wanted something that can charge via USB-C. Very important, because that allows me to use it, both a convenience thing, but also allows me to use it over solar power when the need arises. B, it needed to be a handheld device, obviously, that I can carry around with me on hopefully upcoming bicycle vacation. And C, it needed to be able to do VHF and UHF transmission and reception, to use both medium distance and shorter distance and repeater systems and operations. So let's actually have a look at what came in the box. I actually opened it up together with my mom, so yeah, here we go. Okay, so of course there's the charger and the USB-C cable. I do know that this is a 5-volt only charger, and so practically useless. Why does everything still come with a power supply when there are so many different kinds available? What is very useful though is this little charging cradle over here. We've also got the antenna over here. This is not very useful antenna either, but it does apparently work. And of course the transceiver itself with a little lanyard and clip on. What I've done actually is I tested with the local repeater PD1NOS. I quite get that. It was PD2NOS. So I've set this up correctly for that repeater. I've got this set up to the output frequency of the repeater. So when I transmit this, I could hear it over here. However, it is worth noting that repeater and amateur radio traffic in general can vary quite a lot. And yeah, this is a very capable device. We're able to hear a lot of nice people around here talking. I haven't set up a conversation myself yet, but maybe better luck next time. So now to have a look at the device itself, we've got our keypad over here, very much like a mobile phone. I've got power and volume over here. That is our antenna connector, on which, of course, the standard antenna goes, whether the one that's supplied with it or a third party one. You can even build your own if you want to. And I turn the volume up or down using that. Don't be confused, it turned on there, but it's not a shout select button. You select the frequency by going either with the up and down buttons or the numeric keypad. There are some additional features here as well. You can select the transmit power between high, medium and low. And this thing apparently, yeah, easily women avalanche, I think, even at high power, but I'm not quite sure about that. But anyway, yeah, should be about 25 watts, and that's probably within the limits or less. And yeah, so we can select power, we can go over to the band setting, wide and narrow. We can select our CTCSS, which is important for repeaters. There's some settings for the offset, also very important for repeaters. And some other stuff. There's actually two VFOs in here, so I select which one I use over here. We've got this button here for the flashlight. This button is monitor mode. And of course this big button turned off the radio, because when I press it and the radio is turned on, it transmits. And I'm going to transmit right here. Yeah, all that's over here is a microphone and headset input. I've tested this with a standard cable, and apparently I couldn't plug in standard headphone speakers or a dictation machine, so I'm probably going to need both of these if I want to be able to have an audible log. Right around the back, I almost forgot the battery itself also has a USB Type-C connector for charging on the go. If at home, of course, I would use this cradle. He's about to shine a light over there because, well, this is exactly where I wanted to put the charging station. I used to have the wireless earbuds charging station around there, but I've removed that because, well, I don't need the wireless earbuds anymore now that I have headphones, and apparently wireless is trendy and everything. But yeah, I just plugged into the pretty hard to get around here and do this one-handed, into the USB-C cable already had for that. So let's put it in. And then of course when I charge the transceiver, I just plop it right on there. It's quite a bit of precision, but it's charging. And then of course I turn the whole thing off, and there's a little light that indicates that it is in fact charging. Okay, so it's worth noting that whilst I was looking over there at a charging station, you might also see another thing. I'll be right back with the thing. To be exact, this Albrecht Audio SWR and power meter. So with the Dynascan UV 202, I intend to work more shorter range and of course using repeaters, which is kind of the point of this. But my mum also once told me that I could go over to the world, and I explained to her that indeed I could if I'm going to go shortwave. And I really do intend to do so on the 10 meter amateur band. And I've also got a radio that I would want to get to do that, which is another Dynascan model. Really hoping that one works too. And that's where this comes in. It doesn't really go that well with UHF VHF, but it does go very well with HF. So SWR meter basically allows you to check whether the antenna is set up to be compatible with the transceiver. And so you want that to be as close to 1 for the SWR as possible. Of course it can be 0 when there's no transmission at all. So I wanted that to be, and there's that. But other than that, I really hope it's going to be a very fun journey of amateur radio to meet a couple new people. In fact, I actually did hear quite a number of conversations that I was testing the Dynascan. The first test I did was indoors, simply transmitting to my own radio scanner. I've got some direct hookup footage from that.
This is Papa Delta 5 Charlie Victor Delta PD5 CVD performing a radio check on the Dynascan UV202. So that was PD5 CVD. Okay.
And then I've also got the tests with the local repeater. I don't have any direct hookup of that, but I do know that it works quite well despite this rubber ducky, which is really the main limiting factor of a handheld transceiver, along with the height. And so maybe it's going to be worth experimenting with some other types of antenna as well. Maybe even setting up a little station at home. I don't know where I'm going to go and end up. So yeah. Other than that, I quite like the Dynascan UV 202 as I've just got it. Maybe I'll make a little retrospective on it later on. For now, see you next time. Bye bye. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please give a thumbs up and share this video with all your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.